Welcome to the first episode of All Things X. Joining me from the Panhandle is Craig Donko. How you doing tonight, Craig?
I'm great, man. It's such a privilege to be the first guest on your very first episode. Glad to be here.
Oh, man. It's a privilege to have you as my first guest, my man. For all the listeners that don't know, me and Craig we go way back. We're best friends from back in the day and today. But, yeah, man, friggin', just want to talk about some weird stuff, as, you know me, I'm into the weird shit. So, I don't know, have you had any paranormal experiences or anything? I got a couple that I can talk about, but I figured I'd ask you, what experiences you've had. I know being a military man, I'm sure you've seen some shit,
Yeah, so when it comes to paranormal, it's weird to me because I'm like a logical, rational type of person. So I always try to look for the logic and rationale in all things that are seemingly unexplainable. However, I'm not obviously closed off on the ideas of, extraterrestrial life and paranormal type of activities. So I'll tell you a story about one time I thought I had a paranormal experience. And this was back in 2003. I had just gotten married. I had just moved to Oklahoma from England. And I was living on a house on the Air Force Base.
Now, and nothing happens ever.
No, Oklahoma. This is Altus, Oklahoma. This is in the southwest part of Oklahoma, where there literally is nothing. It's all like, almost desert land, like the scrub brush, not a whole lot of greenery and shrubbery, all over the land. So perfect for aircraft type of training. So I'm in this house, and I kind of, I'll tell you this after, right? So my new wife is off like in a girls' night, kind of like, a belated bachelorette party. Some new people she had met. We hadn't been there very long, so she was making new friends. And I was home alone playing Xbox. And I'm talking about the old Xbox, the original Xbox.
Oh, yeah, the OG.
Yeah, and so this is another time, we didn't have much furniture. We just, we were just newlyweds, and we didn't have a lot of stuff in the house. So the house was kind of empty, just some TV. I think I had just a chair to sit on. I didn't even have a couch.
Now, how old was this house? Was it like an Air Force built house, or was it like an actual house off base? Or
no, this was on base, and built by the Air Force. And I don't know how old it was. It was pretty old. It had to be. It was definitely not a newer built house, and there were some newer built houses. Those are the old parts of the...
Probably like 50s, 60s, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, I would say probably Cold War era at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely 40s and 50s, sure. Because it was, at one point, it was a base during the Cold War, like a bomber response base type thing. Okay, those were the Midwest back in the Cold War days. All right, so there I am, sitting at home alone, a practically empty house, playing Xbox. It's at night. I have just pretty much the living room light on. I don't think I even had pets at this point, so it was definitely alone, right? So it was a one-story, building. I was in the living room. So to describe it, I'm sitting at, my back to the wall. Look at the TV across the living room. To my right is the dining room, and to the right rear is the kitchen. And then to my left goes down into a hallway to the bedroom, the two bedrooms down there and the bathroom. And being late at night, and I'm just sitting there playing video games, and I catch movement out of the corner of my eye from the hallway. And it kind of, shocked me for a second, like no one's supposed to be here. And as I look over, I see what my mind interprets as a person walking down the hallway and into the bathroom, the hallway bathroom.
Now was that like
Yes.
shadow of a person, or was it like an apparition?
Kind of like a shadowy apparition, I would say. That's what.
Like a black shadow,
Yeah,
like a
it was
like a
definitely
black
dark
shadow
figure.
image.
But dark in color. And yeah, so being home alone at night in an empty house, and I see that, I'm like,
So where we were, sorry for the interruption, people, we'll edit that out. So you were saying that you had glanced over to your left and you had seen this shadow figure in the hallway, and you were kind of spooked because you were home by yourself, you know, in the natural, like, order of things. You're like, whoa, what the fuck was that?
What the fuck was that? And so I shut up.
That just got a podcast, so let it fly.
So yeah, I pretty much shut off the Xbox, deuced out, got in the car, went to my buddy's house a couple blocks down the road, and just pretty much waited for the wife to, you know, get home or whatever, or close to being home. And yeah, I just pretty much just played video games over there until the party was over or whatever. But I had to go back to the house before she even got home, so I just kind of went back there. I was like, you know, on the way back, I'm just talking to myself, nah, it was, I'm home alone, my mind is playing tricks on me, it's not, you know, whatever. But, you know, of course, yeah, exactly.
You still have that in the back of your head, like, you're like, you know what? Because, like, I'm a logical thinking person too. You know me. I think logically. I assess things logically, but I'm very open-minded. And if I can't explain something, then obviously I know my logical mind will tell me, well, there's whatever's left. When you can eliminate all things, and the only thing left is something, whatever, however unbelievable it is, it has to be. It has to be that. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Did you ever? Did Carla tell Carla about it?
She is one of those that, like, you know, experiences things, and she believes in that kind of thing. So she's very open to those experiences. So to come to find out, and I don't know when I found this out, but apparently that part of the base was built on an old Indian burial ground.
Do it.
Oh, that definitely has a lot, dude. The old Indian stuff, man, like, they didn't play around like that. Like, a lot of the land, too, out in the West, it was so bloodied by war. The land contains that energy, like negative energy like that. It can stay in the land. I don't know if you've ever seen this show called The Dead Files, but in that show there's this woman who's a medium, and she goes around and she can communicate with the other side or whatever. And she does a lot of stuff where there's, like, old Indian, like, land that's been cursed, and, like, the land itself has been so stained with blood and violence that it, like, becomes a negative place to be. And, like, it's crazy, the stuff that she describes. But I mean, I believe it, because, you know, being of Native American descent, like, I want to be more in touch with that side of things, you know. I don't want to believe that we're just a speck of dust moving across. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. The whole we're on this Earth that spins 1,000 miles an hour this way and spins 5,000 miles an hour that way across the galaxy that spins 1,000,000 miles an hour this way across the whole universe. Like, It just doesn't make sense to me. It seems irrational. But, you know, I mean, to tell you a little bit about my story, it kind of involves some sacred ground as well. Do you remember when I used to work at EMC? Security guard there.
I don't think I was living in the area during that time, but you.
No, it was like fresh out of high school. So I was probably started there when I was 19. You would just join the Air Force, so you were probably away in England. And but I was working in Hopkinton. And, you know, I had heard stories, my boss even had said she got pushed in this place, as no one wanted to work third shift there. And it's in Hopkinton, right around areas where there was Revolutionary War battles. And apparently this building had been built on a Revolutionary War battlefield. And there was a skirmish that took place there or whatever. But, you know, me being me, and this was probably, like, one of my first experiences, and back when we were younger, I was like, yeah, fuck that bullshit, you know, like, you know, and I didn't give a shit. And so I'm working there, it's like, you know, 2, 3 in the morning, you know, which they would consider dead time. And, it's time for me to go on my patrol. So, when you do a patrol, you go around the building, you check, all the entrances and all the different parts of the building. And I'm going through, and I'm in this side of the building that they don't really use. It's kind of like a bunch of empty office rooms where they just store a bunch of old stuff in them, and like they're not being utilized. And as I'm walking by one of the rooms, inside the room, a phone starts ringing, and it's dark in the room, so all I can see is the little red light on the phone flickering, and the phone's ringing. So I'm like, well, what the hell? I'm gonna pick it up, So I walk in the room, and I pick up the phone, and all I hear is like static, like white noise. And as I'm listening to that noise, all the hair on the back of my neck stands up, and I feel something, like some presence or whatever. And I look over my shoulder back at the doorway, and in the doorway is a silhouette. It's like a shadow figure of what looks like a man, and he appears to be wearing like turn of the century clothing, like military clothing, but I can't really make it out. It's more of a shadow. It has that outline of kind of almost like a weird hat. And I'm like frozen, and like it literally slides away like an ink blot, like slides away from the door, and it's gone. And it disappears, and I'm like, holy shit, what the hell was that? And at this point, I still have the phone in my hand, and the static cuts out, and it's just a dead line. And I go to hang up the phone, and when I look to hang up the phone, and I shine my flashlight on the phone's not plugged into anything. It's not plugged into a wall. It's not plugged into the phone jack. Nothing. So I'm like, what the you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the hell is that? And I made the rest of my rounds real quick. Let me just tell you, and I was back at the desk. I don't think I left the rest of the night.
At some point.
Yeah, and that was kind of like one of the jump-off points for me, really getting into the supernatural and whatnot. I mean, even when it comes to, like, extraterrestrials, I mean, to me, if we really are in a universe that big, which lately, things have come into doubt in my mind with all the factual information that I've gotten, but still, if we really are in that big of a universe, it's got to be a mathematical impossibility that we're in the universe. Even if only 1% of the planets are what we would call like M-class planets for us, it's still billions of bodies of planets.
Somewhere in that vastness that there's different types of life forms. That, we only know. We don't know.
Like if life can live at the bottom of our ocean in methane vents, right? Who's to say that life can't grow on another planet breathing methane? We breathe oxygen, but doesn't mean that life doesn't breathe some other gas on another planet, if life's really that, evolves to its, adapts to its, environment, and like lately I've been starting to like read a lot more in depth into like more ancient texts and stuff, like old Indian texts like the Mahabharata and like stuff like that, which says that we're in an enclosed area, like, and we're protected under the firmament, and that space, while it exists, we can't travel through it, so we would have to travel from landmass to landmass through what is known as a Stargate. Like like the planets exist, but we can't fly through space to reach them. There has to be some sort of gate that opens to get there, because there's like, imagine like a teardrop of land across a map, like, but they're all enclosed, and the only way to get to one another is through some sort of portal. That's kind of come more into the research that I've been doing is kind of come into that, but I've also kind of realized that we're all made of energy. Like if we have a soul, it's pure energy, and that energy is exponential. So it doesn't just die off. When our body, which is physical matter, dies off, that energy has to go somewhere. So whether it transforms into a different plane of existence, like, it has to go somewhere. So that's why a lot of this paranormal stuff, like, I feel like there could be several different kinds of it. Some could just be residual energy, like through emotion, like buildings, wood, stuff like that can retain that energy. It can feel that energy, and it could replay over and over and over again. But then you have like actual intelligent responses you can get from the other side, which is more than just residual energy. It's actual consciousness, which you know, I've actually recorded a couple good EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon, where you know, we can't hear it with the human ear, but when you play it back on the tape, you can hear things and like even full sentences sometimes, and it's like, well, how do you explain that? You know what I'm saying? It's about the energy. You know, so yeah, I mean that we're like batteries, we're like walking batteries, but like, you know, so like if you know about, you know, you must know about kinetic energy and exponential energy and stuff. So like even in pictures, like you can see some of those pictures that people take upon death, where you can kind of see this like plasma escaping from the body, like that's energy. So the energy has to go somewhere. So, you know, whether it goes into a different dimension or it goes into, you know, becomes the wind of the earth, or who knows, but that energy never dies off. Energy will like that will continue on forever. And whether it retains consciousness or not, that's a whole different ballgame. But, you know, like, as far as I'm concerned, the energy that drives us, it will live on forever. Just kind of boggles the mind when you think about it. Plus, nobody wants to think that this is it, you know? So that's another thing, too. Everybody always wants there to be more. And when you really break it down, like, what would be the point of this if there wasn't anything else, you know? Like, when you really get to start thinking about it, like...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I mean that's, you know, that is a definitely an interesting theory, and I don't think I've really heard before. So
yeah, you know, I mean that's just kind of what I've thought, like that. Like I said, we are pure energy, and like if we are like all created from the same matter that exists in the universe, which if you're familiar with quantum mechanics or anything like that, the amount of matter in the universe is a constant. It's always the same. So say 26% of the universe is solidified matter, or what we consider solidified matter. That amount of matter will never change no matter how far the universe expands. So like you can represent this as like if you took like a small fish tank and you put 100 marbles in it, and then you got a double the size fish tank and you put 100 marbles in that, and then you got a quadruple size fish tank and you put 100 marbles in that would represent the expanding of the universe, but the amount of matter in the universe gets more dispersed because it's the same amount of matter no matter how big the universe gets. So we are made of that physical matter. So in essence, we're all stardust. We're all made of the same stuff that the stars and the planets are made of. So all that is driven by energy. Everything is energy. So like when I really start to think about that, you know, I'm like you know, energy is, like I said, it's exponential. So especially kinetic energy, it's always going to move forward. It's never going to stop. So even though the physical being that we're in might stop, that energy is still going to continue forward. So a lot of people believe that it goes back into the pool and gets reincarnated back into another body. Not so sure about that. I mean, it could happen. You hear a lot of stories about children that respond to like past lives. Like there was one I was reading about this little girl.
yeah, I've heard of it.
Have you heard that? No.
Young children are more receptive to that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like usually until they're about like 7 or 8 years old. But there was this one that kind of caught my attention too. This young girl had her grandmother had died right before she was born, and then when she was born and she was a couple years old, the parents started taking her to the diner that her grandmother used to eat breakfast at like every day. You know how old people are, and when they brought the daughter in there, she knew all the waitresses' names and like started talking to them like they were all her best friends, and knew like all the stuff about their lives, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, I used to work here. And it comes to find out that she was the reincarnation of her grandmother, and she said that yeah, you can pick who your parents are, when you become reincarnated, you get to choose who you're birthed to. And she chose her daughter to be her mother, and that's how she knew all. Like, she was her grandmother reincarnated, and she, like, crazy. It was unbelievable, the story. I forget what I was watching it on, but it was just baffled. It baffled me. Even like the Dalai Lama, when they picked the new one, the way that they pick the new Dalai Lama is they bring these children that are supposedly, possibly the reincarnate of the Dalai Lama, and they put them in a room with 100 things. And out of those 100 things, one of them belonged to the previous Dalai Lama. And the child that goes through that room and picks the one item that used to be his is the next Dalai Lama. Yeah. Pretty crazy, right? And like at every single time, one of those children picks the correct item out of 100, which is insane. You know.
All right, bro. So I gotta get going, but glad I could be on your first episode, and yeah, definitely do it again when I have more time.
Absolutely, man.
Deep into some things.
Yeah, we'll pick some topics out, and you know what else I found out too for the audience? You guys can call in and you can leave messages. There's actually a part in the app where you can select leave a message, and you can ask questions, and we'll take that voice message that you leave us, and we'll record it into the next episode, and we will answer those questions for you. So anybody that has a question can definitely leave one, and it's been great talking. Always good to get on the horn with you, bud.
Before I go, real quick, can I tell you about our project I'm working on? So, are you familiar with Twitch?
Absolutely, I'm familiar with Twitch. I think I lost your recording there. Can you still hear me?
That's my phone, sorry.
All right, yeah, you're back now. So you were saying you're on Twitch, right?
On Twitch, I do oil paintings, landscapes in the style of Bob Ross, and.
Oh yeah, you do. You are Bob Ross reincarnate, my friend. Let me tell you, this guy, he can fucking paint. Came out of nowhere. This guy never painted a thing in his life, and then his wife bought him an art kit, and the next thing you know, he's Bob Ross. I mean, that's
pretty much exactly how it happened. So, I've been doing
exactly how it happened.
And now I'm streaming live on Twitch, and I'm at affiliate status, so my Twitch handle is Dom Kizzle. So go to www.twitch.tv/DomKizzle and find my channel. And I stream 2 to 3 times a week. And that's pretty cool. And with that, I also have a website, if you didn't know, where I post all my paintings in the gallery, and I also do I write a little blog about each one. So I'm kind of backdating and catching up with all my paintings to get up to date. But every single one I've done is in the gallery there, and you can read about them and you request commissions, and you can even buy paintings right from my website too.
That's awesome. Hey, everybody reach out and help the Dom kids. Hey, you know what you need to paint? You need to paint me and the chipmunk riding in the gang car.
But that website is www.happypaintingsbycraig.com.
Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely. And next segment we do too. We'll do a little ad section there at the end too, and put that out there. I know that Anchor. There's actually at the beginning of this, I'm gonna actually drop an Anchor promo. You start out getting sponsored by Anchor. We're gonna run a little ad promo through the beginning of the podcast. And then once you pick up steam and you get more people, other sponsors can actually pick you up, and you can do their ads through our podcast as well. And hopefully, going forward, I can get you in a schedule as a regular guest on my weekly podcast. And we can promo your Twitch account, promo the podcast, and who knows where we go from there. Yep. But it's been great talking to you. of course, one of my best friends. I love you, bud. Always great to get together, and have a good night. And
Thanks for having
we'll sign it off here.
I can't wait to do it again. You too, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Tonight we're gonna start out Saints Madness.